Okay, welcome in one and all. I'm now going to be doing my night two of the NHL season previews. So starting things off with two original six teams, Montreal Canadiens will be heading to Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs for opening night for these teams. I want to give the edge to the Maple Leafs in this one. I just think they have a very good team, very good overall haul of the roster, offensive side, defensive side, and the goaltending with Samsonov. He's obviously proven to be a number one goaltender since he was with Washington, I think, 2 years ago. So I will give the edge to the Maple Leafs in this one. I just think, like I said, they have a very good team overall. I'd be very shocked if they did not get a win, especially on home ice on opening night. So take a look at the next matchup. So the Ottawa Senators and the Carolina Hurricanes are both starting their season off. Um, for this particular matchup, I do favor the Carolina Hurricanes. I just think that they're not the team's not they're not a joke. Sorry, I don't mean to stutter. But there's a reason that they've been back to back Metropolitan Division champions because they're just that talented on an overall team. And obviously, when you have Anderson and Rantanen as your goaltending tandem, you really can't go wrong with that. I think when I made my prediction, I think I said that they should be contenders easily. Uh, like I said, they're just so talented all over the board. I'd be very shocked if they didn't come away with the W in this particular matchup. So when it comes to the Sens and the Hurricanes, like I said, I do truly believe that the Hurricanes should get the victory in this matchup. So taking a look at the next matchup, we have yet another original six teams going at it. So the Chicago Blackhawks are playing back-to-back nights. They are taking on the defending President's Trophy champions in the Boston Bruins. The Blackhawks obviously got a huge victory last night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're going to try to look to build that momentum and have that carry over against the Boston Bruins. I just think it's going to be tough for the Blackhawks to go back to back, not just play wise, but to win two straight games. As I do believe, even though the Bruins don't have the likes of Bergeron and Krejci on their team, they're still talented with Pasternak and Marchand and McAvoy. And when you have the reigning Vezina Trophy winner with Linus Ullmark on your team, I'd be very shocked if the Bruins did not get a victory in their opening matchup. So I will favor the Bruins in this matchup to get their first win of the season, and I think Chicago will have to drop down to 1-1 on this extremely young season. So we have three more games to preview. So hold on. So the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flames are kicking things off in obviously Calgary. Uh, for the Winnipeg Jets, they have quite a few question marks coming into this season. The big thing for them is obviously they had two of their stars re-signed just yesterday or the day before with Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck, both re-signing on 7-year contracts. So including this upcoming season, they have 8 years left to go. So maybe if they can keep that core group together, they could be competitive. But it's just a matter of if and when. And for the Flames, the big question mark is can they get a bounce back season out of the likes of Huberdeau? And can Markstrom go back to his Vezina winning ways back when he got the trophy in 2022? So like I said, for both these teams, they have a lot of question marks going forward. And yeah, so I'll make my bold prediction. I say the Jets come away with this victory on opening nights of the NHL season. So off to La La Land, where the Los Angeles Kings are opening their season on home ice against the Colorado Avalanche. I believe both these teams are going to be very competitive throughout the season. I did predict that both of them should get into the postseason by season's end, but again, this is only game one, and game 82 is still many, many months away. For the Avalanche, obviously, the big thing for them is can they stay healthy What's the ETA on Landeskog? Will he be able to come back? Other than that, they do have the likes of McKinnon, Makar, and Mikko Rantanen on their team, so that's a very dangerous trio when it comes to the Avalanche. And for the Los Angeles Kings, there's no question they have talent on the offensive and defensive side. The big question mark for me is goaltending. You don't have a number one goalie as per se. Yeah, you have Phoenix Copley and you have Cam Talbot respectively, but can those two carry your team, and can they get you over that first round hump? And once you get into the postseason, that's like I said, that's the big question for me when it comes to the Los Angeles Kings. I'm not doubting their offensive side. Like I said, they have the likes of Kopitar and Kevin Fiala, Arvidsson. Now they've added Pierre-Luc Dubois to the mix. And on the defensive side of things, obviously when you have a veteran like Drew Doughty on the team, there's no question, like I said, they have talent on the offensive and defensive side of things. It's just the goaltending is my big question mark for this team in this upcoming season. So with that being said, I will give the edge to the Avalanche to get the victory in this particular matchup. And the last game on tab for tonight takes place between two Pacific Division foes, and it is the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Vancouver Canucks. So for the Oilers, there's no question that they are a very competitive team, and they should be one of the favorites to hopefully contend for a cup. But obviously the big thing is, the biggest obstacle for the Oilers is Vegas. I think those are the top two teams in your Pacific Division respectively. Whoever comes away with that number one seed could very well carry that team to a potential conference final, Stanley Cup final berth. But that's a big question and a big if. And again, this is only the first game of the season, so we still have a long ways to go to crown a champion when it comes to the division crown. As for the Vancouver Canucks, they made a couple of changes in the offseason. Obviously, the big thing that they did was name Quinn Hughes captain. So can he lead this Vancouver team back into the postseason for the first time since 2020? That is a big thing. Another big thing is Elias Pettersson. I want to say, depending on where the Canucks are at, maybe by the trade deadline, depending on how competitive they are, how close they are in the standings, will they be re-signing Elias Pettersson, or will they possibly be shipping him? Because obviously he's in the last year of his contract. So I know that players will always say, "Oh, it's not a big deal. I don't think about stuff like that." But you got to think, reporters after reporter after reporter are always asking you, how are negotiations going? How is this going? So you can't tell me that isn't a distraction in the locker room, let alone in the back of Elias's head. Because like I said, everywhere he goes, people are going to be questioning him, what's going on. So I know some players can tune that kind of stuff out, other players can't. So will his play affect when he has, like I said, all those questions being bombarded during this upcoming season? So I know it probably isn't a huge factor, but like I said, I have seen players in the past be affected. They're not as consistent. I'm not saying that'll happen to Pettersson, but I'm sure in the back of his mind, he'll be thinking like, man, I got to get this thing figured out now rather than have this play out through the next 5-6 months before the trade deadline comes. So, yeah, kind of a bit of a ramble there. I do apologize. But for this particular matchup, I will give the edge to the Edmonton Oilers. I think they should get their first victory of the season, while the Canucks will just fall short, and they'll be looking to get their first win in their next game. Thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, take care.